Hello, my name is Carol May Whittick, spiritual life coach and your host of Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. This week is week 3 of the series on creativity, and this episode is focusing on intuition, still small voice. And as you journey with me through this series, I hope that you will uncover new possibilities within your own creativity and recognize how it converges with and reveals your spirituality. Once we recognize ourselves as the artists of our lives, every action, word, and moment becomes profound. And before going deeper into the episode, I just want to share with you ways that I can support you. Firstly, you're listening to her inspirations, where in each episode I'm exploring a different aspect of our spiritual and creative journeys. If you want to go deeper with me and receive the emails with additional teaching points and resources for you, please join the mailing list. And also, if you're someone who has always wanted to be heard in the world, so that's whether you're going to be launching your podcast, whether you want to show up online, whether you're stepping into public speaking, or even just being more vocal in your life, I've created Your Awakened Voice for you. This is a course that uses my holistic approach that acknowledges the intricate connection between your physical body, mind, and spirit. This course is empowering you to discover and develop your voice. Or if you want a more intimate and personalized experience, you can choose to work with me on a one-to-one basis. And I'm working with you conscious creators. If you know there's a purpose to your life, my purpose is to support you confidently follow your intuition and create your big vision. The links to all of this information are in the show notes below. So to episode 3 of Creativity, Intuition, the Still Small Voice. A quote from Steve Jobs: "Intuition is a very powerful thing, more powerful than intellect, in my opinion." It is a highly significant and integral part to your creative and therefore your spiritual journey. Intuition is your guiding force. It's you channeling your inner wisdom. It's those feelings that you get of your gut feeling, those subtle insights, that sense of absolute knowing. And a lot of the time it's beyond any logical reasoning, which is why many people will struggle to lean into it and will struggle to identify and therefore trust it. And your intuition can manifest and show itself in various different forms. So it can be like intuitive nudges, it could be synchronicities, it could be a sudden flash of insight, or what many people will refer to as downloads. And we live in a world that wants evidence, wants a peer-reviewed paper, wants confirmation from the masses, but that's not going to happen with your intuition. Your intuition is yours. It speaks to you and communicates in your way, and that's something that you learn to feel into, you learn to calibrate, and therefore you learn to trust, as you would do in any other relationships. So when you get those flashes, when you get those nudges, you try and you see what comes of it. You see what results you get from following your intuition, or sometimes from not following your intuition. It's important that you honor your intuition, because nobody will ever care more about you than your higher self, not even your parents. And that's not to say your parents don't love you, but there are areas within you that people will never be able to see. Your intuition is a valuable source of guidance and a valuable source of clarity from yourself. It is coming direct from the higher divine part of you that is always seeing the potential of your life, and then will orchestrate events that will then allow you to develop in the way that you are able to realize that fullest potential. When we're looking at our lives from a ground level, we'll probably play around in things that might work for us, that may be possible for us, but more times than not, the majority of us want things that are set out, that are proven, and to an extent, very predictable. So when it comes to your creativity, your intuition can serve as a catalyst for your creative inspiration. And this is following on from last week when I was speaking about curiosity. Being in that state of curiosity means that you're staying open and in a state of receiving the answer to the question. So your intuition is now that inner teacher that's going to start giving you the clues, the answers. And you may feel inspired to go somewhere, to try something new, to read a book, to have a conversation. There'll be something that drops in that will be different, that might often be outside of your comfort zone or your own knowing, that is the first drop towards what you should move towards. Your intuition will feed you, and it may not make sense, but remember, this is your expression, your unique vision, and the question is, will you have the courage to follow through? And when we're talking about courage, and I will go deeper into courage in another episode, remember that innovators, creators, mavericks are always doing something different. They're challenging the norm. They're standing by their way of saying and seeing and doing things in the face of everyone who can't see what you can see and may be nervous for you or may not understand what it is that you're doing. So when you're in that state of making those steps into the unknown, into the unseen, into the uncharted waters that your intuition is sending you towards, do expect to feel doubt, do expect to feel resistance, both within yourself and as I mentioned, from external opinions. But this is where it comes to you learning to trust your intuition. And it's new for most people because we're educated away from relying on our own innate wisdom, where only the tried and the tested is trusted. But how can there be progress and innovation if we're constantly pulling from the same pool, the same echo chamber of information and the same possibility, things that have already been done? We need those few people, and you are one of those if you're listening to this, who dare to step into something that their intuition is throwing in front of them. How to overcome that resistance, how to overcome that self-doubt. Firstly, to remember that you would not be shown something, you would not be pulled in a direction if it wasn't from your higher self wanting more from you, seeing what is possible from you from that vantage point and guiding you towards that. It's never going to make sense. If you imagine that your creativity or the project or whatever that you're moving towards is a maze and you can never really see how to make it through the maze, unless you have a vantage point. And if you see your higher self having the vantage point of the maze that you need to travel through in order to get to your goal, then you'll have greater trust in it. You can spend your entire life trying to figure it out from ground level, or you can decide that you're just going to plod up and stay where you are, or you can use someone who has that helicopter view of your life to guide you. And I know so many people fear making mistakes. When I had a sense of knowing and I chose to ignore it, it tended to eventually cost me money, cost me time, but also it gave me a lesson to trust the next time around, which is why now, more so than ever, I will lean into the things that often don't make sense and go with them because they take me into a space or into an experience or expose me to knowledge that may not even make sense immediately, but will open me up to some sort of growth within myself that then pulls me forward, gives me more ideas, inspirations, opens up my world for me in a way that I could never have envisaged or thought for myself. And how would you go about distinguishing intuition from fear and ego? I would say that genuine intuitive guidance is calm and it doesn't need approval. It doesn't feel emotional. Whereas anything that comes from ego relies on agreement, relies on approval, has more fear-based thoughts around it. While there may be some uncertainty or some trepidation, I never get the sense of fear or more so now, concern about what anyone else is seeing. Is knowing that I'm stepping into a space that is new for me. But one of the ways that I really help that is to really go into the vision of what is possible. If I'm shown to do something that is vastly out of my comfort zone, and I've been really pushing against my edges recently, I kind of play out vision in my mind. Okay, if I do this, what is possible? If I follow through, where can I be? Is this where I can go? And what's the worst that can happen? So how is it possible to bring intuitive awareness into everyday life so that you can get to know what your intuition feels like? If you practice things such as meditation and journaling, getting into situations where you can quiet the mind, even in the midst of a noisy environment, and tune into your own body and see what you're feeling and see what you're noticing, and listen to your inner voice and get into the habit of discerning these messages. The more that you're able to really notate them and journal them and track what you do when you follow through on any of these threads or any of these downloads, over time you'll start to notice a pattern and start to be able to trust what it is that you're being shown. Taking time to breathe deeply, to sit in silence and just listen. And sometimes it's not even listening to yourself, but just listen to what's around you. There's so much noise that happens in the world that if we can get into a space of knowing what it is to be still in the middle of the noise, even when we're trying to create silence around ourselves. In this day and age that everyone's busy doing stuff and wanting to achieve, but there needs to be a space, there needs to be an opportunity for these voices, for this information, these downloads for you to come through. And of course, from last week, curiosity, ask what it is, what can I do, what can I see, what else is there? And just wait and wait to see what you're being shown. And when it comes to your spiritual practice as well, recognize your intuition and its connection to your higher consciousness, and being gratitude that you have this connection and you've forged this connection and you're working on this relationship that can bring you peace, that can bring you individualized guidance. There are so many who are lost and disconnected in the world today and are feeling a sense of abandonment, feeling a sense of loneliness, feeling a sense of anxiety. And I believe much of that comes from not knowing or not feeling that they're being heard or have a relationship on any depth. And the more that you recognize what a deep relationship feels like within yourself and your higher self, the better you are then to show up for other people and then recreate that depth of relationship with people in the real world. Intuition will bring you a true sense of connection to God, to the universe, to the divine, and that relationship is unsurpassed. And when you get to know what that sensation is for you within your intuition, then you start to recognize, you start to appreciate the synchronicities that are shown to you, and they become almost amusing, the way that answers and truth will show up for you. And you'll feel like you are moving in the flow of this universal energy. And through this, you will increase and build your trust in your intuitive process. And then you'll have the courage then to surrender more to the unfolding of your life, of your creativity, of your spiritual journey. And you will feel and recognize how you feel in greater alignment with her, what I call that higher energetic resonance. You'll feel a sense of blessing and grace and favor in your life. No matter what comes to you, you'll find a way of working through it, but also knowing that nothing comes to you if it isn't for your greater good. So are you willing to cultivate a deeper relationship with your intuition through your ongoing inquiry and practice? Can you notice how your intuition appears in your life? Can you remember moments in your past where you got a sense of doing something or being guided to do something that was so out of character for what you would normally do, and then you took and acted upon it? And then what happened as a result? Can you remind yourself of those times? Will you start to honor the guidance it's offering you? Because the more that you allow, the more that it grows. And the more that you will embrace your intuition with confidence and courage, the more that you will be in this space, and it will change your experience of life. You'll find that you'll be able to navigate the challenges. You'll be able to make more swift and empowered decisions, and you will align with your authentic path. From Lisa Prosen: our intuition is like a muscle. We must practice listening to it and trusting its wisdom. When you take the time to ask and keep listening for the answer, being at peace becomes easy. Thank you for joining me for week 3. That was all about intuition, that still small voice. Find out more about me on my website. It's carolmaywhittick.com, maewhittic.com. You can also find me on Facebook and LinkedIn, Carol May Whittick, and on Instagram, Casmic, CAZMICK. Until the next episode in the next week, be creative, enjoy your week, take care, bye.